The Seismic 7, Chapter 8, Part 2. The evenings pass by with games and hangout time. Wyatt and Kinsey discover they share a love for chess and start playing every night. Meanwhile, after our email sessions, Todd and I have started inventing a superhero universe and have been drawing what each of our outfits would look like. The cabin is slowly becoming covered in our ridiculous art. We rarely see Miss McNamara, but when we do, she usually sneaks us some kind of snack, so we're always on the lookout for her. And sightings of Nolan are nearly as rare. Todd and I have written him into our superhero universe as the mysterious Ferret Boy. This isn't at all how I envisioned my summer going, but the constant undercurrent of worry that we could blow up in a lava explosion at any second has cemented the friendships among us. Far faster than any I've ever experienced in my life. Add in the secret messages we've been sending, and I've really come to think of Kinsey, Todd, and Wyatt as my people. We share something no one else in the world shares, other than Eddie and Raquel. It's weird, but kind of nice. Then, one day, day 16 of tunneling, the messages from Eddie and Raquel stop. As I pass by the spray-painted words from our ongoing conversation, I read the last message we wrote to them. Does it ever freak you out that we are drilling through a supervolcano? Maybe it really did freak them out, I say, over our radios as we discuss why they didn't answer. They probably just had a busy night, Wyatt replies. There's only 2 of them and 4 of us, after all. Yeah, you'd think they'd split us evenly, Todd notes. 3 and 3. You'd also think they'd let us talk to each other, but I don't think Dr. Greer knows the meaning of the word socialization, Kinsey snorts. I fall silent. Today, we are in new jumpsuits. They're entirely reflective, designed to keep heat out. Yesterday, we reached temperatures that were warm enough to turn us into sweaty messes. Even my cooling trick couldn't help me. And it's only going to get hotter from here on out. So it was time for a safety gear upgrade. I reached my beta tunnel and maneuver in. Kinsey and I decided that we were going to try to do 35 tracks apiece before dinner, both to speed up the process and to see the look on Todd's face when we tell him. However, once I'm down my tunnel, I find I'm in a patch of quartz-rich granite, and that is taking absolutely ages to drill through. Kinsey is stuck with a ton of quartz in her granite too. I know because she won't shut up about it. This is the worst, Kinsey says. We're never going to hit 30 at this rate, much less 35. You don't have to hit 35, Todd says. You don't, Kinsey says. I can hear the grin, but I'm going to. Good grief, Todd grumbles. I crack a smile and get back to work. From over the radio, I can hear Kinsey holler with glee. Yes! Different minerals now, way easier. Lucky, I say. I turn back to my own section of wall, my headlamp shining on the mica and making it glitter off the quartz. Stupid quartz. But then Kinsey lets out an entirely different yelp. A giant whooshing blasts over the radio and then silence. Kinsey! I scream. Kinsey! Todd yells. Kinsey, are you okay? Wyatt shouts. Kinsey, say something! My voice rises to hysterics. There's no reply. Oh my goodness, what do we do? Todd asks. Dr. Greer, Wyatt calls over the radio on the channel that's meant to reach the surface. Dr. Greer, we need evacuation. Kinsey might be hurt. Hurry, I add. The response is staticky, so I can't tell what the adults are trying to say. The emergency cable does start chugging, and we begin the ascent out of our tunnels. Kinsey, please tell me you're okay. Say something, I repeat. Please, Todd adds. There's excruciating silence for several moments. I hug my cable, trembling. You know what? I finally hear, crackling over the radio. It's Kinsey. I collapse against my bag of track pieces in relief. What? I reply, tears springing to my eyes. I take back what I said about quartz. I laugh, gripping my pipe and cables and trying not to totally lose it, as my eyes water more by the second. You're okay, Todd exclaims. Are you hurt? Wyatt asks. Not badly, Kinsey says. I might be burned. I hit a pocket of steam. It was small. Oh my goodness, you're so lucky, I say. I know, she says, but I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. She repeats the phrase, her voice going shaky. Kinsey, Wyatt asks. I'm fine, she insists. I'm fine. This is dumb. I'm fine. I didn't get hurt. I'm fine. She shuts off her radio, presumably to cry, and I can't blame her. We're going to get you looked at, even if you think you're okay, Wyatt says. Just in case. She doesn't reply, which tells me she might actually be hurt more than she's letting on. We travel up faster than usual, thanks to the power of the emergency cables. I check in with Kinsey, as do Wyatt and Todd every few minutes, but mostly she ignores us. Once we reach the surface, I hurry out of my pod so they can bring Kinsey out. Mr. Stiles and Mr. Fee are both there with first aid kits on hand. Kinsey's pod comes up next. Before I can get to her, Mr. Stiles is already opening up her cage door, helping her out. Quickly pulls off her equipment. Where her mask and goggles pressed into her skin, she's outlined in red blisters. I wince. Thankfully, most of her face looks okay, but she clearly got burned. What's going on? What happened? Dr. Greer rushes over to us. We had an accident, I explain. Are the tunnels okay? She asks. I pause. Two thoughts trip over themselves in my mind. First, how can that be your first question? And then, oh my goodness, what if they aren't? What if we mess something bad up and cause some sort of deadly domino effect? I glance at Kinsey. I don't know, Kinsey answers. I think so. It was just a small burst. Burst? Dr. Greer snaps her attention to Kinsey. Kinsey holds her ground, tipping her little chin up. Yes, I screwed up. I hit a pocket of water. Steam rushed out. I probably would have died if it was worse, but then it stopped and we decided to come out. She owns it all, and I would have reached out to hug her, but Dr. Greer looks far scarier than usual. Be more careful in the future. Shouldn't we get her to a hospital? I ask. It's not third degree, Mr. Stiles says. She'll be okay with treatment here. Kinsey, do you want to go to a hospital? I ask, ignoring Mr. Stiles. What a dumb answer. Second-degree burns are still awful. No, she shakes her head. If we can treat it here, let's do that. I can get back to work faster that way. I stare at her. Behind Kinsey, Todd's pod surfaces into the cave. Kinsey, are you okay? He asks, climbing out as fast as he can. Of course, she answers. I eat steam for breakfast. Kinsey, I really think you should see a doctor, I say. I'm a trained medic, Mr. Stiles says, glaring at me. Trust me, she is getting professional treatment. Cleans off Kinsey's face. I shut up. My hands are shaking. I don't like any of this. I exchange glances with Todd, who looks as concerned as I feel. Wyatt finally emerges from the Alpha tunnel. How is she? He asks, joining us. Not dead, I say, but her face got a full blast of steam. Everything not covered by her mask and goggles is burned. What the heck was she thinking? Todd crosses her arms. This is all her fault for showing off. He's not entirely wrong, but I'm still angry on Kinsey's behalf. She was just trying to get this job done. Dr. Greer stands behind us, her eyes stealing over. We brought you four here so this kind of thing wouldn't happen, she says. You know the science. You should recognize where it is safe to drill. I don't have time to talk to you through Geology 101. Kids! A voice shouts. I spin. Miss McNamara runs down the cave tunnel toward us, and I unexpectedly want to burst into tears. Miss McNamara's here. I can hardly believe our luck that she's here visiting today when we have a real situation on our hands that needs adult attention, not Dr. Greer attention. Oh, Kinsey, she exclaims, showing all the concern Dr. Greer isn't. Thank goodness. Oh, my. We want to take her to the hospital, I say, wiping out my eyes, embarrassed by the tears. Kinsey, what do you want to do? Miss McNamara asks, kneeling down to face her where she sits. I'm okay, really, she insists. Her hands are shaky. If Mr. Stiles says he's a medic, he's probably good enough for me. Yes, he is, Miss McNamara reassures her, and he's seen far worse burns than this one. I trust him if you do. Sure, Kinsey says. Behind her, Mr. Stiles fishes out some cloths from the first aid kit and I wish I knew a tenth as much as my parents did about healing people. Maybe I should learn to be a doctor, like my mom wants. Then I can make sure people are fixing my friends up the right way. Laura, you promised me these kids, Dr. Greer starts. Everyone makes mistakes, Miss McNamara says. They're doing the best they can. Look at them. She gestures at us. I look up and down the line of us, covered in dust, tear streaks dried on each of our faces. I don't have time, Dr. Greer tries to say next. I know, trust me, I know, Miss McNamara says. But Samantha, we can't demand the impossible. Accidents are bound to happen. It could have been much, much worse. You know that. That shuts Dr. Greer up. I watch, fascinated. Sometimes it's hard to tell which one of them is actually the boss around here. Do you three want to stay with me, Kinsey and Mr. Stiles? Miss McNamara asked, turning to us. I'm sure Kinsey would appreciate some company. They could get more work done today, Dr. Greer suggests, arms crossed. Mr. Stiles guides Kinsey up and starts to walk her out of the work cavern, back to camp. I really think right now everyone needs a break, Miss McNamara says. With some rest, you all will be refreshed and faster than ever tomorrow. A break would be good, I say. Wyatt and Todd nod next to me. Together we walk past Dr. Greer, following Miss McNamara. Bolivia and New Zealand, Dr. Greer calls after us. I wince, thinking about the quakes in those countries in the past few months. A seismic clock is ticking, but a couple hours off can't make a huge difference, can it? I know we need to hurry, Miss McNamara calls back, but we can't afford to be reckless either. Exactly. I cling to my camera, which Dr. Greer has forgotten to take from me, and head back up through the caves.